Reading book on pausing and institutions. Written by me, Eric Wadell. First draft, February 2026. Chapter 4. The 5 situations of pausing. There are 5 typical situations that we make use of when pausing. These 5 seem to pop up all throughout our lives, and they can be challenging to deal with. Even if we would try, these 5 situations do not seem to be possible to resolve permanently. Instead, they function as a sort of structure to life. They are also suitable to pause with. Pausing makes a real difference for our ability to engage with them skillfully. The 5 situations are called sleep, acute, long-term, confused, and worn out. The first situation of pausing is called sleep. It is when we fall asleep, sleep and dream, and wake up. The second situation of pausing is called acute. It is when we are caught off guard, startled, or suddenly approached. The third situation of pausing is called long-term. It is when we make plans for or feel urgency about our long-term future. The fourth situation of pausing is called confused. It is when we feel disoriented, scrambled, or like we are missing something. The fifth situation of pausing is called worn out. It is when we feel too tired, cut off, or lonely. Each of these 5 situations has a logic of its own, and so they are distinct from one another. But the 5 situations are also parts of the same coherent whole, and so they also affect one another. Dealing skillfully with the one situation also affects the other 4 in a positive way. In the previous 3 chapters, we have looked at what pausing is, what institutions are, and what our universal skills are. For the next 5 chapters, we will connect pausing and institutions to the 5 typical situations that follow us all throughout life. In what ways are institutions affected by situational circumstances? And what does this mean for our own situational circumstances? More specifically, in what ways are institutions affected by sleep? And how is our relationship to institutions affected by sleep? What kind of acute situations can we see in institutions? And are acute situations any different to us as persons? What is the long-term situation like for institutions? And how does this relate to our own long-term future? In what ways are institutions confused? And does that differ from our own confusion? Finally, how do institutions get worn out? And how do we get worn out? For the next 5 chapters, 1 chapter for each of the 5 situations, we will not attempt to answer these questions exhaustively, but rather our goal is to develop the ability to pause with both the institutions in themselves and with the 5 situations. Our first ambition here is to have pausing as an easy-to-use support when we are navigating institutions, as well as when we are navigating the 5 situations. Our second ambition here is to develop better discernment between the situational challenges of institutions and the situational challenges of ourselves. In this way, we may gain a sense of breathing space in our personal decision-making about institutions. For each of the 5 situations, we will first make an initial connection between pausing, institutions, and the situation at hand. After that, we will look at what pausing is like in the certain typical situation. And lastly, we will study the modern dual loyalty that we have to institutions related to the situation at hand. The first situation that we will look at is our sleep situation. It is when we fall asleep, sleep and dream, and wake up.